People believe that Dispatch was recently paid by HYBE to cover up a dating rumor, and we have an alleged investigation launched over JK and something that happened to him, as well as we have people saying that the Grammys will forever ban BTS. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Disci, let's get into it. There has been this ongoing discussion for quite some time that BTS might never win a Grammy. Of course, this is a very cynical way of looking at the industry and just overall what could happen with the boys, but it also could potentially be a little bit more realistic than people may want to believe. But of course, if we're talking about the likelihood of any artist winning a Grammy, we are talking about just the 1% of artists that do win a lot of Grammys time and time again. The reason why we think it's a lot, or we think a lot of artists are winning, is because the ones that win, we hear about it a lot. So we tend to think that it's just given to every artist that's popular. We have Miley Cyrus, who has released bangers after bangers and albums that have been released at #1 time and time again. We have Justin Bieber, we also have Katy Perry, who even at the height of her career didn't even win a Grammy. And I think Justin Bieber just has 2 and Miley Cyrus has 1. They all have been nominated several times, but Katy Perry literally still says she has 0 Grammys. And let's say she were to win one recently, she's had, I think, 20 nominations or more. And even if she were to win one recently, she would still have had to have had that many nominations before winning. And BTS just has 2 nominations right now. So maybe they just need a little bit more. But also a lot of people say it's a race thing, and they turn and say that, well, BTS deserves it, but they're not being given it because of their race. And then obviously, if you look at other artists that are white but aren't winning any awards, then obviously that statement doesn't make sense anymore. But why I believe the merit still holds a little bit is because Grammys were going to make a separate category for BTS, which is the K-pop category. And I don't know what their thought process here was, and if they thought that if they simply had a K-pop category, BTS would come out on top all the time and they would win awards. But having this category is innately racist, because BTS can surely beat several artists who wouldn't be eligible for the K-pop category. But by putting them into the K-pop category, it would forever solidify them as just K-pop artists. They're known for just being Korean, not that they're artists. And the fact of the matter is, they're not just Korean people, right? They are global artists. They are so much more than just that, and they deserve the recognition of a global star, just like many of the other artists that have won the award. Now, do I believe that the boys will never win an award and that they will forever be in that space where several artists haven't won and just have nominations? I don't know. The award is supposed to be won through a voting system. This is not a public voting system. This is not like one where you can just enter and then vote as many times as you want, but this is one that's within the industry. This could explain why Justin Bieber, maybe BTS, perhaps even Katy Perry, have never actually won the award before, or won very little of the award. If it's not based on actual popularity and it's based on the people in the industry liking that artist, this is how this can happen, is if you just don't run into these people who are doing the voting. We know that BTS doesn't like to do after parties. They don't like to, after an award show, go to the parties, or after a red carpet, go to the after parties. They prefer to go to the hotel and do a live stream with the community, which is totally fine and dandy, and we as the community totally appreciate that. But there are drawbacks to being a hermit and staying to yourself. I've said this many times before in the past when the boys have gone to their hotel to do a live stream instead of interacting and mingling with the other celebrities, is that that is going to be a pain point for them in the future. The industry loves when they know someone, and they would rather pick someone that is less popular but that they're familiar with and platform them than someone who actually is popular. And so when I say even at that level, networking and meeting these people, talking to them, getting them to like you is so important. It is so important. It's even more important when groups like BTS come to America and they're trying to break into the market by winning awards and things like that, because the majority of people, and probably the old traditional white men that are sitting in a boardroom, would likely have traditional values, and they're probably going to be seeing the BTS boys as foreign people, and they're not seeing the boys at the after parties. They're not talking to them because there's a language barrier, and they've never met any of them. Of course, all of that stuff is going to give the boys a not so great impression. And I'm hoping that this comes across without me actually saying it. But when you're seen as something that is foreign coming into the country, then you're seen as not great or not doing great things innately because you're Asian. People are seen as a little bit of a threat. Then Asian people are then seen as a little bit of a threat to America. They're propaganda, right? Which is something that's been said over and over again. When they are nominated for an award and it comes time to win the award, most people in that boardroom are probably not going to pick that foreign artist that they feel is a threat. A threat not just to music, but a threat to America. And I know that that sounds dramatic, but this is likely, allegedly, what they're thinking. And some things like this, you'll never see justice, just due to the fact that there is severe xenophobia in America. And honestly, everywhere in the world has xenophobia, right? because if people are mostly used to seeing one specific race, they're not going to particularly like the other races that they don't see often. But other times we do see a little bit of justice, and one of those moments was what happened with JK and his alleged stalker. It was believed when JK left the military that someone ran over to meet JK at his house. This is apparently a Chinese woman in her 30s, and she had brought her luggage and all that stuff. And it seemed like JK was even scared to go into his house or go near it. That woman was later identified and then arrested. She is believed to be looked into right now, and there happened to be an ongoing investigation with her in the situation. The label put out a statement to say that they are looking into this, they're going through the CCTV footage, they are sending it to the authorities, and they're doing their best to cooperate with the authorities and hope that this person is going to receive the proper punishment from the authorities. So such cases like this can be fined up to 30 million won or up to 3 to 5 years in prison. Now, 30 million won is probably around 20 to 30,000 US dollars, so I doubt these stalkers really have that much money, although I wouldn't put it past them because they apparently could afford a flight to get to Korea and just pack all of their bags and leave. I don't know if this was money that they saved up a lifetime ago just to fly over and see JK, but I highly doubt that they would be able to pay that money, like the $30,000, so they likely would just go to jail, which I'm sure would be a preferable treatment as they would be locked up and unable to see or stalk JK or anyone else. Although I can't say that I don't feel bad because I don't necessarily feel like the people who do this are mentally well, and I feel like in their head they're thinking that this is an innocent thing and then they're going to end up in jail, so I do feel really bad about that. But I hope they do get treatment, whether that is mental help or whatever the law is. People are extremely suspicious over a lot of the craziness that's happening recently, and specifically what's going on with Dispatch and JK. A lot of people believe that JK is in a relationship with someone, and they believe that the label has been trying to hide it. So some people have been saying that he is still with that alleged girl that he met in Dubai, and he specifically went to Dubai just to meet her. And other people are saying that it could be Winter. First of all, I want to say that obviously he did not go to Dubai just to meet this Dubai woman, because we literally know that he did have professional activities there. So even if your statement is remotely true, no one's going to believe it because that first sentence right there is very wrong. The other people believe that the label paid Dispatch to be quiet and essentially not release this dating story. In my personal opinion, and I don't really have any facts to prove it, but I don't believe that Dispatch's dating rumors are something that is not planned. I believe that the dating rumors are planned right from the start, and the labels or the companies involved are fully aware of when the dating rumor is going to come out. Because some of the alleged clips that Dispatch would use, or some of the alleged evidence that they would use to prove the dating rumor, are things like following the celebrity to their house, or following their car, or stuff like that, which all would fall under breaking stalking laws in Korea. So you're telling me that Dispatch would be above the law and they would be able to leak really professional information unless this was all staged. So that's my theory, allegedly. I don't know if it's true or based on anything in reality, but when I look at some of this stuff, I tend to feel like it's not necessarily real or unstaged. Could a label pay a news site to not leak specific information? Yeah, I'm sure it does happen. But if it was something as big as JK dating someone, I don't think Dispatch would have taken the money. This story would have catapulted them into new heights, as JK has international success now, which is very different from the success that Dispatch has gotten from just reporting on Korean celebrities. From that story alone that they would do with JK, probably would have catapulted Dispatch into international news, and they would get a whole bunch of new people listening and tuning in to everything that they say. The money that they would make would skyrocket, and money doesn't necessarily get you fame and notoriety, which is something that they might like. So I just believe that it just isn't a story. He's not dating Winter. He's not dating the alleged girl from Dubai. He's not doing any of that stuff. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thank you to this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.